Hi everyone, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to be able to present CreditNature and the tools that we've been developing to help mobilize high-impact nature recovery investments. CreditNature is actually born recently from an existing company, Ecosoulis, which has been developing and delivering nature-based solutions for the last 30 years. And we spun out CreditNature because we recognized there was a big need for corporate investors to be able to be connected to rewilding and nature recovery projects. You'll be familiar perhaps with these statistics that there's a huge funding gap for nature recovery, 4.1 trillion by between now and 2050. Perhaps you're a little less familiar with the State and Nature Finance report that came out recently by the UNDP, which identified that there's half a trillion to 1.1 trillion amount of money being spent on the degradation of ecosystems. So whilst this is actually a problem, we see it as a bit of an opportunity, because if we can provide the means for that degradation to be converted into the recovery of ecosystems, there's clearly a huge amount of money to be invested into that. So we've come at this from the perspective that we need to provide an end-to-end solution, and this is how we're doing it. CreditNature is aiming to make rewilding investable. And we've done this through the development of a accredited measurement system, our NOAH framework, which identifies the baseline for particular projects and then helps forecast the recovery over a set period of time. We've also developed a platform which can host projects, provide the asset level data within them, and then connect to various investment prospectuses that need to be presented to corporate investors to give them the information and the confidence in their investments. And we've also established a marketplace. This particular marketplace is aimed at hosting what we're calling our Nature Impact Token. I'll give a bit more information in a moment. A slightly deeper dive into our natural asset recovery investment analytics, our NOAH framework. This is a really key part of the engine that we've developed, which is around assessing ecosystems and providing asset level data relating to those ecosystems. We see the land assets that we're measuring as a core component, which is actually influenced by the inputs that human engineers can actually change the direction of those ecosystems. So whether it's land management practices or wildlife management, for example, these have a direct effect on the recovery of those ecosystems. There's then a layer of functionality, different dimensions of ecosystem function, which are really important. These are direct measures of change as opposed to proxy measures. But really, you don't need to worry so much about the detail that's in this. It's the bit on the right-hand side, the ecosystem rating system, and also the ecosystem integrity index that we've developed. So this gives a really simple way for corporate investors to understand what the changes are that are occurring on that particular land asset. So we've got a simple rating system that rates from an A to a G. Anything above a D is in a recovering state. Anything below a D is in a degrading state. So we can show through forecasting what levels of upgrade can happen within the system. Similarly, we can give an ecosystem integrity score, showing what, from a baseline, in this instance, we're showing a 33 score out of 100, recovering to a particular level. So this is simplified data that's being demanded by the investor community that's really important and underlies all of the work that we've been doing over the last 3 years to create this system. The NOAH standard's been looked at now across 17 other global frameworks for assessing biodiversity by Dalberg, and has actually been used to inform their biodiversity investment ratings agency. We're providing direct asset level data through the framework. We've designed it specifically, and this is important, that it needs to be able to operate at scale, and it needs to be cost effective at scale. And also the metrics need to be comparable across different geographical environments. It's also got to be upgradable. The data that comes into the system that we've got, it comes from remote satellites, it comes from drones, it comes from camera traps, field surveyors. We're able to aggregate this data and rate the data as it comes through to give a confidence rating within the system, but that needs to be upgradable. And similarly, it can also be linked to biodiversity metrics and also carbon metrics. So we've provided the mechanism here to have comparable data across different geographies. The reason we've developed the Nature Impact Token is that this provides a really transparent, trustworthy, transactional and scalable way to get nature positive investment. It also allows both ex ante and also ex post modelling within the system, which is an important aspect for corporates who can start to understand what commitments are being developed over time. And again, we're providing a high integrity mechanism that's directly linked to the land asset that's being invested in. Another interesting feature of the tokens that we've developed is that it actually allows to develop a bit of an investor journey. So starting from our visioning tokens through to reset, recovery and stewarding, we're actually able to identify very specific commitments that occur at each stage of that investment journey to build confidence in the outcomes that are being invested in. And this allows quite a lot of flexibility and also brings the community involved in those projects along as well, because they're directly involved in agreeing to those particular commitments. So we've got a current go-to-market strategy. We've done an assessment of 20,000 hectares already. We've got another 20,000 coming on board. We've got projects throughout the UK, Australia and Africa. So we've got the supply side quite well established. CreditNature is part of the Nature Data Alliance, and we're working with world-leading nature positive pioneers to help deliver the requirements for different types of corporates. We've got a relatively modest forecast that we're developing at the moment, which we see to be relatively easy to deliver. But the reason we're looking for funding is to actually accelerate that, because we're getting quite a lot of demand for the models that we're developing. We've got a lot of different alternatives. So whilst we're focusing on the reset token at the moment, for example, we've got different tokens in the pipeline that will help us expand the opportunities associated with any particular project. So a single investment could actually be generating 25 new projects each time. And we've also got a platform model that we're looking to license out as we scale internationally. Here's an example of other uses of the NARIA framework that we'll be using and have been developing with different organizations. So we've got an ambitious roadmap, and we're looking for $500,000 seed funding at the moment, pre-seed funding, and then we'll be moving to a Series A towards the end of next year. We've got high-level technology capability with Brian. I've been running a B Corp for the last 30 years, and we've got the highest scientific capability built within the system. And we've got this whole solution tied up, which is quite a key aspect to how we managed to deliver this. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for seed investment, we're looking for corporate partners, and we're looking for anyone who can help us escalate and deliver this on a global scale. Thank you very much.